Lighting like Steve McQueen, I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit, cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly, better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder, and I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, because I want to put the right information out there from the people who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take all that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I probably fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. We got a solo show today. We got some articles to break down and some topics to talk about on here. But before we do any of that, you guys, as always, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all like to make additional money, right? And then on top of that, you can do that by loading out some of their trailers or getting on there and renting some of their trailers and providing like an asset-based solution if you're a broker out there. That's one of the main objections we get in the broker sales process is you don't have assets. Now, technically, you have access to them. So what they're working on, you guys, is they have some repositionings available in Evansville, Wisconsin, needing to get up to Mississauga, Ontario, and you get paid $500 per day, or excuse me, per move on that. You guys, there's a couple of moves out there. And then you guys, you can get on there and rent trailers too. They have some available in Hutchins, Texas, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then they have a reefer out in Duncan, South Carolina. And yeah, you guys, what you can do is you can get on there and you can create a drop trailer pool on there, and you can factor in all of that stuff into your pricing. So, you know, you guys get into it, jump on there, vhubapp.com. My friends Zach Lonergan and Stacy Steen, they'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Dylan Turner, you do have the first comment on today's stream. He's watching over on YouTube. So is Tracy St. Clair. Good morning to you. Michael Thomas, happy hump day. Let's go. I appreciate the support, man. Thank you very much. It means the world. Sonny Sharma, what's up, man? Good hump day morning. It is Wednesday today. I forgot what day of the week it was this morning, you guys. I'm going to be honest with you. Cole, what is up? Let's get it, my man. Thanks for tuning in, Cole. Yeah, I honestly forgot what day of the week it was. I thought it was Thursday already, and, you know, it happens, right? Let me see here. As again, you guys, it is solo show today. We got some articles we're going to break down. We'll jump in with the fuel being up again this week. It is $4.47 a gallon nationwide. It's rose like 70 cents a gallon over like the last 6 weeks. And it's insane, right? Like, it's crazy to see this stuff because it dropped down a little bit. Now it's coming back up in full force. It's every single week. I mean, it's up 8 cents, almost 9 cents a gallon week over week, right? So yeah, it's take that into consideration as you're going out there and pricing out your freight, you guys. And if you know, especially if you don't have any customers that do a fuel surcharge or anything, or if you do have a customer that has a fuel surcharge, pay attention to that, update your rates and everything, because otherwise that turns into a billing nightmare if you don't do that. But you know, when you're seeing that rates rise, right? Like, you know, I was talking to some people and they were talking about how rates are rising in the reefer market alone. And, you know, and for me, it's like, as you're getting in the door with a lot of these customers and you're working the spot market to get that first opportunity, you don't have any contracted rates. You got to put the most consistent pricing out there, right? And you got to put the most real data that you're getting out there. I mean, green screens up here, I use them literally every single day, multiple times a day inside of my brokerage, because they have the most accurate pricing, the most real-time data that's out there, you guys. And all the loads that I talk about that we're moving are based on using green screens and getting out there, you guys. So check them out, you guys. I mean, Kevin was on the show on Monday. They care about the industry a lot and moving the industry forward. And that's one of the many, many reasons why I chose to partner with them, is because of that, you know. So hit them up, you guys, greenscreens.ai. Let me see here. Corey Buchan, what is up? Good morning to you, sir. Jamie Parker, good morning. Bill McIntyre is back in the house. Good morning to you, sir. Christina Harrison, good morning. Zena, back in. Good morning to you. Thanks for tuning in, as always, Zena. And all right, you guys, let's see. What else do we got going on today? Friendly reminder, because I'm probably going to forget. We all know it's a holiday this weekend, so what should we be doing with all of that? You guys, there's going to be affected hours on Friday and Monday, so talk to your customers today. All right, don't wait until Friday or till when you win a load and then you find out it's got to pick up earlier than you thought and deliver later than you thought. Get ahead of this stuff, you guys. Talk to all of your shippers, receivers, customers. Find out what their hours of operation are. See what they're going to do out there. I personally don't think yeah, there's that massive storm going on in Florida right now. So obviously capacity is going to be affected in Florida, but I don't know if it's going to be necessarily affected like it would be in a normal year, just due to how the market's been performing here this year. But again, find out what their hours of operations are. Do your carriers a solid out there. And then furthermore, find out where that freight's being stored this weekend, because you don't want to pull up and see that the truck stopped somewhere and then you're calling the driver and they're not answering. And then it finds out that they're at their house or they're at their yard and we just didn't do our due diligence on the front end and caused ourselves a ton of unneeded anxiety. So talk to your carriers, find out where are they storing their freight at this weekend and everything, so we can all enjoy it, right? It's the official end of summer. I don't fucking know. Whenever that is, the official end of summer. And then most people are going back to school and everything. So enjoy this last weekend. And, as always, your boy's going to be going live on Friday and Monday, because that's what I do, right? That's what I do. And so if you guys are working like I'm going to be working, tune in. I'll be here for you. Let me see here. Catherine Whitehouse, what is up? Make today an awesome so yesterday gets jealous. I like that. Erica Hamilton in the house. Good morning to you. It is a beautiful day here in Arizona. It's only going to be like 112 today, and it's supposed to drop into like the 90s this weekend. That's going to be amazing. Papa Freight is in the house. He says, good morning. Let's go, everyone. Steven, how long are you out in Hawaii for? Are you on vacation right now, or are you kind of semi-working out there? What's going on, man? Sydney, what is up? Good morning to you. Thank you for tuning in. Luke White, good morning. He is back in. Nick Sanders, let's go. Time to get it. Carol Curtin, excuse me. Good morning to you. Jeffrey Reese in the house. It's Black Shirt Gang today, dog. I got the Freight Coach Logistics drip on. You know what I mean? Erica Hamilton. Yeah, right? I know. We needed that. All right. Let's get in. You're out in Hawaii all week. It's not the worst place in the world to be working, though. It looks gorgeous from that photo that you posted the other day. Let me see here. Let's get into some articles right away. What do we got here? What do we got? We got this first one is going to be from FreightWaves, and this is talking about truckload capacity tightens in August. National tender rejections top. 4th of July values out of season. It's interesting. Let me see. The National Outbound Tender Reject Index topped 4% this month for the first time since January, when it was recovering from the holiday period. While 4% is still indicative of a very loose market, the timing and direction of OTR are signaling that the softest conditions may be in the rearview mirror. The recent bump is also the first time that it has moved above the value of 2019, when there was a historically loose market with significant carrier exits. The 2019 values do offer some historical support for increasing rejection rates, but this rise is about 2 to 3 weeks earlier than expected. The national OTRI measures the rate at which carriers reject loads from shippers under a previously agreed upon contracted rate. Typically, values below 4.5% are connected to truckload markets with abundant capacity and are deflationary for contract rates. I've been seeing this for about 3 weeks now with one of my customers, and I talked about this the other day. It wasn't like a massive increase or anything like that, but spot market loads were definitely starting to show more availability than historically out there. And again, this is one of those points and parts that I want to remind you all of when my prediction was on what a recovery would look like. And it's going to be post Labor Day. I've been saying it for months if you've been tuning into this show. And that's when I think that's when the spot market's going to start to really get a breath of fresh air pointed in there. Now, there is not going to be a cataclysmic rise in rates or anything like that. At least that's what my gut's telling me. I could be wrong. I hope for some of you people out there that I am wrong and you start making a lot more money. But realistically, I don't think that's going to be the case. But I do think a lot more opportunities are going to start presenting themselves. You're going to see a rise up through the holiday on some prices and everything. And through by the holiday, I mean like through Christmas. And then I think that it's going to drop back down in Q1 of 2024. And then I think throughout 2024, that's when you're really going to start to see a recovery out there, barring any major geopolitical or shitty policy stuff that you might see out there. But that's where my prediction has been since like October of last year. And I'm going to continue to talk about that because frankly, we got to get ahead of a lot of these situations. You got to put the right prices out there and you got to come to your customers with real information and real data, you guys. It's very valuable to have these conversations with them before shifts happen so they're more prepared for it as well. Contract rate competition. The race to the bottom may have finally caught up with shippers as carrier margin erosion has now made prioritizing load decisions a little more difficult. In a high margin contract rate environment, like in 2022, all loads make money and the only concern is coverage. With operating ratios shrinking and margins falling, carriers now have to consider which loads are more financially lucrative. The OTR has been below 4% nearly all year, averaging 3.2% from February through July. Subsequently, dry van contract rates have fallen approximately 15% over the past year. The recent rise, jumping from 3.3 to 4%, seems to align perfectly with a strong dip in average contracted rates in early August. This suggests that carriers are seeing a slight increase in optionality when choosing loads. This connection may be somewhat spurious, as the other are factors that play into the market, like a unusually strong increase in long-haul demand this July. The domestic freight market experienced a nearly year-and-a-half period of overheating. The economic bubble, we all know what happened in 20 and 21. And then with the rise in rejections is not that significant. Looking at a longer trend line, the recent jump is part of an extended period of increase in rejections starting in May when another strong dip in contracted rates occurred. I want to point out something here because this is very key for a lot of you who are out there selling right now and trying to get in the door with new customers. Let me see here. The recent rise seems to align with a strong dip in average contracted rates, and that this suggests that carriers are seeing a slight increase in optionality when choosing loads. So this is where my experience at a larger company early on in my career, this is why I can confidently talk about this, because what do you think we used to do in those moments? So a lot of the larger providers, whether it be a broker or a carrier, they can agree to take all the freight from everybody, right? I usually refer to these individuals as Q1 all-stars because that's when people normally acted like this. And then in Q2 and Q3, rates rose and capacity tightened up and everything. So they couldn't be the all-stars that they all are. Is everybody can do the freight when it's easy, right? And then and they can go in there and talk to any shipper and provide all of that stuff, lower rates than the rest of us. And then their other customers start picking up in volume that pay more money. And then what do? They start rejecting all those loads. They stop responding to all those loads. And then they run for the hills and take all of that freight that pays better and leaves all of those other shippers in the dust that don't have the volume that suits them anymore. So then that's where the rest of us who are out there trying to build stuff up, that's when we start seeing our opportunities present themselves. Not in every single time, but in most times, you guys, this is what it looks like. And this is when these volumes and these opportunities start coming to you, this is when you have to strike and you have to service these customers at such a high rate that when we are back in this position, they're not taking the calls from those larger providers anymore because they're like, why would I want to switch with you when, Erica Hamilton and A&Z Trucking are doing a great job for us. Why do I want to talk to you? You left me and then they came in and now they're servicing me better than you ever did before. And that's what you have to apply in these moments. Like, these opportunities are coming, right? Like, the CEO of a large trucking company publicly stated, we will remember the shippers who worked with us. And it wasn't in as nice of terms. It was more along the lines of, we're going to fucking pull all our trailers from you when we don't need you anymore because of what's going on. So take all of that stuff into consideration, you guys. I truly feel that the market is going to start presenting more and more opportunities out there. You just need to be prepared for them. Okay. And with that being said, get in front of all your prospects, talk to everybody, keep prospecting. I know it can be frustrating. I'm out there building my book of business with you guys every single day. Trust me, if you're making cold calls, your boy's making cold calls. I'm making cold outreaches. I'm doing all of that stuff every single day. So if you get frustrated and you're like, is it worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. And just know that I'm in the trenches with you guys. And then it was talking about early replenishment. Many of the nation's largest retailers import their goods. Peak activity occurs in September through November, and this appears to have started early. Increase in load volumes out of the West may be disrupting carrier networks. Southern California is the home to one of the largest warehousing districts in the U.S. Out in the Inland Empire. Pay attention to that because obviously a lot of the volume shifted out of LA, Long Beach, and shifted to the port of Houston and other areas. But what's going on right now? Panama Canal is experiencing a massive drought for like 70 years, biggest one. That's blocking a lot of capacity to be able to ship through there at a normal rate. So don't be surprised if volumes start to return to Los Angeles because of that, because they're not going to be able to transport stuff through there, and people don't want to do the extended shipping route of bringing it through the Suez Canal to the East Coast ports. They want that Panama Canal route. People are going to ship things differently and take stuff out. So pay attention to this, that there's going to be volume shifting back to the West Coast ports. Just pay attention to that, you guys. There's early signs of it. And then especially if the Panama Canal does not open up and receive the more water that they need from this drought, it's going to happen. So pay attention to that. That article, freightwaves.com, truckload capacity tightens in August. Again, it's a good article, you guys. It's very much to the facts. And that's what we need to pay attention to. The facts, what's going on, where are those trends happening? And as always, you guys, the links to these articles are going to be put up on the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay. Sorry, you don't get to see my beautiful face out on iTunes and Spotify, but we'll put the audio only replay up there almost immediately after the show. Now, here's another data source, a little company called Reuters, Reuters.com. U.S. trucking firms see freight downturn reversing after, I've never even heard of this word before, dour quarter? Relentlessly severe, stern, or gloomy is the definition of that. Dour. It's spelled D-O-U-R, but it's pronounced door quarter. I don't know why you just wouldn't. Anyways, again, I went to public school, you guys, from elementary all the way through college. So excuse me for my illiteracy here, clearly. James Davis, what's up? Good morning, sir. Thanks for tuning in. Jamie Parker is saying onions out of Idaho. Are onions picking up, Jamie? Are they starting to go? Has that fall harvest kicked in already? Let me see here. Anyways, back to the article here. The U.S. trucking industry may begin to see an uptick in freight demand in the back half of the year after grappling with another quarter of lower profits due to a slump in volumes. Expectations have been Jamie says that yes, onions are going to start picking up and have picked up out of Idaho here. LinkedIn user, good morning from DFW. Companies ranging from Target to Macy's have signaled that they've largely moved past their bloated inventory issues from a year earlier as retailers look to stock up on in-demand products ahead of their crucial holiday season. And again, like JD and I were talking about yesterday, that's another thing to take into consideration is not only are they going to be replenishing their newer inventory, they are also going to be liquidating all of their seasonal summer freight and inventory that did not sell and move. So there's going to be more freight opportunities there as also. Meanwhile, a drop in volume of containers handled by U.S. ports U.S. ports compared to last year is also set to narrow in the coming months, according to the National Retail Federation. Most of our retail customers have worked through the inventory, so it does look like the freight markets have troughed from a demand perspective, said XPO's CEO Mario Harik, adding to the freight markets could recover into 2024. XPO serves everybody, but they said such as Ulta Beauty, setting a shipment count and tonnage flip to a positive in July. Old Dominion Freight Line CFO Adam Satterfield also expressed similar views. We get the sense that inventory levels are normalizing. Freight demand slumped last year after a surge. We all know why. And then this led retailers to moving to a stop in inventory pileup, sending a ripple effect on trucks out there. I don't know that we've seen freight demand fall this far so fast for so long without an accompanying economic recession. David Jackson said he's the CEO of Knight Swift, and as a result, adjusted net income firms such as JB Hunt, Old Dominion, and CH Robinson fell between 22 and 69%. A quarter from earlier out there. Let me see. And then it also says that U.S. logistics firms' profits fall. The second quarter was the most challenging for trucking firms in recent times. Analysts and industry executives said owing to the high wage costs and ultra low spot rates or the current market price for one-time freight shipments. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We're still in the worsening part of the down cycle, but by the time we get into next year, we'll be returning to growth, said Tim Denoyer. He's a market research analyst at ACT Research. Knight Swift said a combination of demand recovery as import volumes return to normal levels. There are still some areas where retail inventories are too high, but more and more categories will need restocking as time progresses. Meanwhile, we all know about what happened with Yellow, may also help prop up rivals such as XPO and FedEx and Old Dominion as others. That ripple effect is obviously going to continue to be a thing, but it seems like most of that volume has been absorbed and by the competitors and everybody in the market. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how the end of the year rolls out, but I've already put my opinion out there on that. And again, that article is from Reuters.com, and that is from U.S. trucking firm Sea Freight downturn reversing after door quarter. Huh. All right. Sorry about that. I had to get some coffee in me. I need more coffee, by the way. But anyways, you guys, I think that's a good point. Again, I look at as many data sources as possible. I like reading from multiple data sources to really see where I can compare and contrast people's information and come up with the most educated decision on my opinion that I put out there. It might seem like I shoot from the hip a lot, but I don't. I try and be as calculated as I possibly can. And a lot of it will always boil down to the fact of I have a lot of experience in the industry. I jokingly and sarcastically say I've moved 3 truckloads in my career, but I've been doing this job for a very long time. And a lot of what I'm seeing out there is I don't want to say like we're back, but things are going to improve. I think that we are so much closer to it recovering than not anymore, that if you're in it right now, and this is more geared towards my small business owners, the brokers, or my trucking companies, the owner ops, you are so much closer to it being better again that you got to keep scrapping through, right? And you guys are the backbone of this country, right? The economy, everything moves on a truck damn near, and especially with the little guys. The little guys have always made up 90+% of the trucks on the road, and I love to see it. And it's one of those things that you're so much closer to it being back and coming back and breathing a life back in, where rates are going to start to increase and everything. So just keep fighting out there no matter what. Third and final article we're going to break down is from FreightWaves, and it's mom and pops are taking significant share of the trucking industry. I would say that that's a false headline in the sense of they've always taken a significant share of the trucking industry for a very long time. this industry has been and will always be dominated by small trucking companies. I know some people don't think that, but I truly think that, because I think there is very few people that are more resilient than the small business owners in this country. We have it all on the line, and we will fight like hell to keep our dreams alive no matter what. Trucking is among the most fragmented industries on the planet. And he said this article was penned by Craig Fuller. Growing up, I was told that there would be massive consolidation in the trucking industry following deregulation in 1980. Instead, the opposite has happened, which I love, because my family is the owner operator and the little guy out there. My dad was an owner operator for 40 years. He was able to start his own business because of deregulation. Talking about the impacts of deregulation. Before deregulation, trucking rates were fixed and approved by the Interstate Commerce Commission. President Jimmy Carter deregulated the airline industry in 1978, and then the trucking and railroad industries in 1980. As a result of deregulation, we saw significant consolidation in the airline and railroad industries. Meanwhile, there was an explosion of trucking fleets, while many longstanding giants went bankrupt. Under the ICC, starting a new trucking company was a bureaucratic nightmare. Expansion was so difficult that to grow, existing trucking companies had to seek approval for the purchase of another trucking company in order to gain new routes. Prior to deregulation, trucking companies were only allowed to service certain routes. Yeah, doesn't sound like a lot of fun out there when you're told by a Interstate Commerce Commission on what you can and can't do in your business. It doesn't sound very free. But anyways, it was only after deregulation that a trucking company could haul a load where it wanted to and for a price it set. Trucking, along with most industries, used to be far more unionized. The Teamster said in the mid-70s that it had 2 million unionized truck drivers, many of whom were long-haul drivers. Many of the trucking companies that filed for bankruptcy following deregulation were shockingly unionized, and the ones that replaced them were virtually never unionized. Weird. After deregulation, non-unionized long-haul truckload and less than truckload carriers were far more agile and able to compete successfully against unionized companies that had benefited from government regulation and fixed pricing. Again, my father was one of those who benefited from that. I, in turn, benefited from that because my father raised us, right, on that sole income as a truck driver. Because of the higher cost structure, the remaining union carriers were less flexible and capable to move in a new environment. Therefore, over the next several years, many unionized carriers filed for bankruptcy. New non-unionized trucking companies took larger and larger shares of the market and were often high-growth business and attractive economics. Let me see. The impact of deregulation in the railroad industry. Obviously, you guys, the railroad has like fucking 3 providers, right? I know there's probably a couple more than that, but there's 3. Just like the airline industry. You got the big 4 airlines that are out there. It is very, very, very consolidated. And containerized shipping changes the world. And then there's a couple of other points out here, talking about intermodal and everything else. And then it talks about the growth of brokerages that were out there. And again, it talks about small trucking fleets will continue to dominate. With deregulation and the changing freight landscape in the past 50 years, many of the barriers to entries has evaporated. There are other factors created significant growth for both carriers and small brokerages. And the chart below shows out there, and I'm just going to go to some data points. The purple line, while the line total number of fleets of 1 to 6 trucks, the purple line, you guys can go to there and check this out. That was talking about that, but it shows how many trucking companies are out there in based on the fleet size and based on the discussion with owners and brokerages, the industry news and events. The FreightWaves predicts that the future of truckload carriers is not increased industry consolidation, which is absolutely phenomenal for the small business owner out there who has dominated this industry for a very, very long time. The future of trucking, the life of trucking, the stability of trucking has always been with the little guy, right? Never forget that. Whether you're a broker or a carrier, the little guy is the lifeblood of this industry. And that's why I fucking love this industry so much. I come from that. My family was a small trucking owner. all the way back to the 1930s when my great-grandparents immigrated here from Germany and started their trucking company out of Iowa back in that time frame. And then they moved up into the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and that's where my dad had his trucking company out of. You guys, I'm all about it. I will always be loud and vocal and fight for the little guy. Keep your business running, all right? You're so much closer to it improving than not. And then we're going to take that time. I'm going to continue to have guests come on this show to keep trucking companies and small businesses profitable, so we can look at things in a different light, so we can operate in a different light, so we can continue to dominate and keep our dreams alive day in and day out, because that's what I'm all about. No matter what, I'm always going to fight for the little guy, because that's where I come from. I am a bootstrapped small business owner that came from a blue-collar family that has done manual labor jobs and done blue-collar jobs, and I'm going to fucking fight like hell to ensure that we're going to remain a major force for this industry. But anyways, you guys, that's going to be it for today. Friday, I got a guest on tomorrow. Friday's show is Q&A day. So bring all your sales and operations questions, and I will drop some A's on the show. And yeah, we'll do that, you guys. But as always, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. That's all I can ask. Subscribe, get it out there to your network, because if you see value, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.